Are you ready now?
We're ready.
Are we really ready? Greetings, sports fans, motorsport lovers, and others. And how's it, Pop?
Hola, everybody. Welcome to DirTiSweat.
Another one. It's absolutely fantastic to be here. I see catering of Jacked Up, the executive producer. Check out this Mug and Bean. Mug and Bean, where are we?
We're in Broadacres.
Broadacres. At least it's not. There are no brats here today.
No.
Oh, hold on, but there's some kids coming just now.
Yes.
Gary.
But they're not brats. They're very, very fast kids.
Kids.
Yeah.
I'm actually quite excited about this.
Compared to me, they are kids.
Is anybody compared? I'm a kid compared to you, my boy.
I am right, Henny. These are kids.
So, Gary, I see makeup did some hair for you.
Yeah.
And some teeth. What else are they doing for you?
Colin, behave yourself.
So,
right, guys, just so you know who we're talking about, we're expecting Kelvin and Sheldon from the Linde.
Part of a dynasty.
Part of a dynasty.
Henny,
probably
grandfather.
The most successful motor racing family in the world.
In the world. Oh, truly. Just the,
you know, the big globe thing?
Go back a whole lot, and Henny van der Linde starts racing a Datsun Skyline, and that's how long ago it was. And wins gazillions of races, like 50-something odd races. The guy, absolute legend. Back in the day when build, tune, modify, and gooi, and then party afterwards when that was still a thing. So Henny...
How many of those parties did you attend with him? Because I've heard stories. I want to know if they're true.
They are. Yeah, they are. That was great. That was good times. So Henny then has kids who they start racing.
You're right.
And you've got Etienne and Sean. First Sean and then Etienne. And Sean runs super touring cars. Etienne also runs super touring cars. And Etienne goes overseas, runs single-seaters. And then, of course, as people do, they get a little bit older and they get married and then they produce. So now you've got this third generation, and there's got to be petrol and thick oil running in these guys' veins. The genes.
I'm sure we can find out when the kids get here.
When they get here. But you know, kids, they're generally a little bit... Are we allowed to call them kids?
If you do, and they smack you on the show, your problem. Because I'm going to sit the other side of the camera when that happens.
Okay, so I can call them legends.
Yeah.
Listen,
bud.
Are they coming?
The boys are walking up the drag.
I've actually got a problem. You were supposed to speak to executive producer, who was supposed to speak to transport, who was arranging the Audi A8 to bring, these are Audi Sport drivers, and they're late. What did you do wrong?
Oh, it's
focus.
No, it's the chauffeur. It's the chauffeur. Listen, I see the boys coming. Let me go and do what they come here.
So
we'll catch you guys later.
So just on this whole thing about these van der Linde brothers.
Hola!
How's it going? Kelvin, how's it? Sheldon?
How are you?
Fantastic. Guys, thank you so much for sharing a bit of time on your holiday, and I've got goosebumps. I'm bloody excited. You guys are legends. Proper legends. Yeah, they talk about Andretti's. They've got a dynasty, and here you've got two South African... I may have called you young men. You've got two South Africans who've properly made it. You've made marks in Australia.
We try.
You've made marks in America. It's absolutely fantastic to see.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.
It's very nice to be here.
So, how was Mom's birthday, by the way? I watched you were in Australia and you said something about going.
Yeah, so we were in Bathurst 12 hour, and I decided I had 2 weeks off. Decided to come back for probably the most important day of the year, apart from racing, obviously. And we decided to celebrate with my mom for the weekend, and it was nice just to get the family together, relax a bit, not talk about racing. It didn't last longer than about 2 hours, and the racing crept in again. But anyway, it was a fun weekend and just enjoying the time here.
And do you also ride bicycles?
Yes.
Road, mountain bike?
Both, actually.
Which is
preferably road bike during the season, because obviously mountain bike's very dangerous during the season. So me, myself, Kelvin and Jordan Pepper, often we ride bikes. We actually rode this morning. So
yeah? You go up to the cradle?
To the cradle. It's very good training, actually. And especially now in GT racing, it's very important to be physically fit. And
because you guys are skinny.
Well, that's his advantage. You've got to keep the weight down. That's my advantage.
What do you weigh?
65. 75, unfortunately. So
That's
that's
10
10 kilos
kilos.
he's got on me. He's got 10 kilos on
That's
me. So it's not
actually,
fair.
that 10 kilos, I've just seen now in BOP in your favorite country for BOP,
Yeah.
in America.
Yeah.
10 kilos is a huge swing now that
Yeah,
they gave it to BMW in the M8.
Definitely. 10 kilos is quite a decent swing.
And 5 minutes?
Let's not talk about that. Just not get grumpy again on your show.
I mean, that must have been like a kick in the crotch.
No, it definitely was. I'm wearing a Garmin watch and not a Rolex watch, so I'm a bit.
But you would like the
disappointed.
Rolex, eh?
That's why we have to go back next year. We definitely have to go back.
You say we?
I have to. We're a team now, you know. We did it once together, so we have to stick together now. So.
That would be so cool. I think, you know, I mean, there's a story here. You've got older brother, younger brother. Who's quicker, by the way?
We'll do the diplomatic answer for Mom who's watching, or just say we're the same.
Okay, so now, Mom, does she also have a favorite? I mean, you're the youngest, so you must be the favorite.
I think
He
the
gets
youngest
away
always
with everything.
takes favour. Eh?
He gets away with everything.
Is it?
Are you an older sibling?
No.
Okay, so
no,
you're
no.
not
I had a
influenced. It's
younger
horrible.
brother who, gee, he got away with everything. Eh? Oh man, it was tragic being the middle one.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that. So, you guys, we spoke about making marks. You were in America, and okay, this week it's Daytona 500, a little bit different from where you were. But last year in Sebring, you guys raced together. How cool was that?
It's a cool feeling because obviously we share a different dynamic to the other drivers. You know, with a different driver, it's always a bit of competition. You want to show that you can do the job better because at the end of the year, both of your contracts are up for renewal at Audi, and you want to show that you can do the better job. And obviously, you have that dynamic. But here, it's completely different because we always want the best for each other. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we always support each other.
That actually must be a hell of an advantage. So now you've got two teammates, so you've got to pick your third guy, or hopefully the Audi picks your third guy, to balance out the tightness that you've got so he doesn't feel left out?
It's difficult. I mean, you can maybe answer that one.
Yeah, it's interesting for me that we have a sort of very healthy rivalry. I mean, we're not really jealous of each other. We always try and push each other on further, and I think that's very important for us to never really have this jealousy between each other. We always are happy when the one wins, and especially when we're on the same car. It's always nice to compare our lap times. For sure, we're very competitive in anything we do. I mean, even in cycling this morning, we were always at a race, but it's important that we respect each other and that we push each other further to be better and to be faster, and I think that's ultimately what helps us the most.
And just in terms of that, feeding off each other in terms of driving style and setup of the cars, have you got like a similar style or?
Very similar, and it's to the dismay of some of our teammates because we like a car that's very pointy. We like it to hang loose a little bit, you know, and some of our teammates are not in favor of that.
But they say a loose car is a quick car, hey?
Exactly. So some of our teammates have given us a bit of grief with that one. They told us to just calm down a bit, just drive it straight, just drive it nicely. But obviously we're from South Africa, you know, we
sideways
talk
is better.
Exactly.
Rallycross style.
Exactly. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but it's cool. We have the same driving style.
So now you've followed the route of Polar Cup championships here, through TD Cup in Germany, and you both speak German?
Yes. I had a German girlfriend for a year, actually, so I really mingled my way
I
into
mean,
the German
was she
culture.
pretty?
She has to be. You know?
I didn't.
Just makes the learning
Gary,
curve a bit faster.
Can you just check with production to see if there are pictures of pretty German girls?
We can do, I will do. And just while you're interrupting everybody, just say hi to Henny van der Linde. Thank you very much for watching. And then we got a whole lot of guys overseas in our friend in the Netherlands, Alberto.
Yeah.
He's online. And
Hello guys.
your
thanks
mom
for
is
watching.
laughing. She's sending all these little mojos, killing herself laughing at our show. So thanks to Mom. Back to you, my
Hey,
friend.
Mom, this is a serious show. And by the way, happy birthday for last week. And
Yes.
congratulations on producing two super quick kids. But, anyway, let's leave that.
They're taking good care of us, Mom. Look, we've got sandwiches, we've got everything.
And there's whole wheat bread here as well, hey?
So if I don't eat later at dinner, you know why.
Okay, so let's go back to Germany. you speak German, and how, like, is it important?
I think it's very important. I've just started learning German now. Last year I actually went to German school for 1 month just to get into the swing of things, get to the basics. And yeah, as my brother's experience, he said it's very important. People obviously take you a lot more seriously when you speak their language, and I think it's nice for them to interact in their own language. And yeah, I think it helps a lot, especially with Audi, the German manufacturer. And I think for the future it's very important to be able to interact with them in the language they know. And yeah, I think it's very important.
That word, the future, and German, and Audi. So, are you guys? I read somewhere you've got some plans, but you don't want to talk about it. So, what's happening next year? I mean, this year. Sorry, 2018. It's kind of exciting. We've had a little bit. There's Daytona, Bathurst, which was absolutely phenomenal to watch. Thanks for the entertainment. I mean, it was really good.
I think there you could see I was hanging it loose. That's it, South African style coming in, you know?
Yeah, but hold on. The bits... It understeered when you didn't want it to understeer.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we've had that first sort of icebreaker. What's next? What's happening for this year, guys?
So I've extended my deal with Audi. I'm going to carry on with Audi as a factory driver. Thank you very much. So, I mean, my job is 25 race weekends around the world. Different race championships, GT Masters, Blancpain, you know, the works. We're going to defend Nürburgring again, which is cool. That is really cool. Really, to go back there as defending champion or defending winner is going to be amazing.
We'll talk about that 24 hours around. They call it the Green Hell. Yeah, there you go. What's it in German?
The Grüne Hölle. The Grüne Hölle.
The Holle.
Yeah. The Green Hell.
It doesn't translate into Afrikaans very well. So you're going back to Nürburgring.
Yeah.
Youngest man.
Hopefully I can also tackle that race this year. Obviously Kelvin's set the bar very high to start off with, so it's going to be tough, but nothing's confirmed yet, obviously. We're still waiting to see how everything works out. But for now it looks like it's in the plan. I don't know which car and which team yet.
Are you confident of a drive?
I've actually driven there last year. Last year I was driving there in a Porsche Cayman.
Yeah.
Because you've got to do like 2 races to get your Nürburgring license. You've got to have a specific license for that race. So I've done a few laps around there, and it's an amazing track. You can't really compare it to any GP track, to be honest. Kelvin will tell you it's so different. The one corner you're coming around, and the next corner it starts raining or it starts snowing or whatever. It's completely crazy.
As a kid, I grew up with, I mean, there's that epic picture of Hans Stuck in a Batmobile flying, I think, what's it, Vluchtplatz or...
Yeah, Vluchtplatz.
Is it still, are you still fluchting there?
Well, the GT3 cars nowadays, I think you saw that horrific crash. I think two years ago, something where the car actually flipped, went into the crowd. For a year we had speed limits, and they've just, since last, they've taken the speed limits away again, so it's now pretty cutthroat again. But every year the GT3 cars are building downforce, we're getting faster and faster, so they're really solid and planted around the track. So
is it flat out?
Yeah, it's flat out nowadays.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
And with that downforce carousel, how bumpy is it through in a good?
I mean, a GT3 car really isn't designed for the carousel. You go through then the 24-hour race, you have a strategy to do the least damage on the car through there. So we drive a completely different line during the race compared to qualifying. Okay. To just save the differential, save the bottom of the car, because obviously it's really bumpy. The GT3 car is super low, so it's doing a lot of damage if you drive it like a qualifying lap every day. So we have different strategies to how we drive the corner during the race.
And what tires will you use in Germany?
In Germany, so we use Michelin tires for Nürburgring, and we'll use Pirelli tires for the European races. So.
And you had Pirellis in Australia and Continentals in America.
Yes.
Big differences in the tires?
Yeah, I mean, he can also comment. He drove the Pirelli and the Continental. Big difference on stiffness.
Especially over a long distance, like let's say a single stint, which is normally up to an hour.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel that the Pirelli is a lot more instant. The peak comes a lot earlier, whereas the Continental lasts a little bit longer over the stint. You can sort of keep a constant speed over the stint. That's
so your driving style is very different in America.
And how much do you have to adapt in the car over a, you talk about multiple stints and all the rest of it. So how much brain work as opposed to balls work is there?
It is, of course, because the track's changing all the time, especially in the long distance races, because rubber's going down, it's getting dark, you have traffic to deal with, so you need to be very switched on. You know, you need to have at least 20% in reserve for, you know, the elements, not just the driving. The driving part, pretty much all the drivers can do. They pay to do it, they're professional drivers. But that last 20% when you're going through traffic, I always say is, you know, you can maybe make up 1 second per lap driving hard, but you can make up 5 seconds in traffic.
And you did that last year in, you know, just listening to the, and the cool thing was that it was streamed here, and we could watch Sebring last year, and they were singing your praises about zipping through the traffic there. Did you like that?
It's very hard to get used to, I must say. Obviously with sprint racing you don't really have that, and with the mixed class in Petite Le Mans it was very difficult because you had to look to the front, and you had to look in your mirror for the P cars from behind. So it was sort of a double focus, looking to the front and to the rear, and that managing the traffic is very important, knowing when to let the guys past. And it's not really about how fast you're on the race, it's how, like you said, how you manage traffic, and that's where you gain the most time.
And the consistency in traffic.
Yeah, definitely.
And at what point do you decide, because there were a couple of times where I sort of look at them and think, well, you know, there's a P car coming up quite quickly, and you see a GD3 car almost chop him off.
Yes.
At what point do you decide, okay, the corner's mine, you staying behind?
Well, the thing was about Road Atlanta, it's the track's very narrow, so when you go a little bit offline, there's obviously the marbles that you pick up on the side, and once you touch
experience with marbles.
Once you touch those marbles, you completely just understeer off the track. So you've got to place your car very cleverly. So when the P cars are coming from behind, you sort of want to block them into the corner so that they don't pass you into the corner and you lose too much time. You'd rather cover the inside, let them pass you out of the corner, and you lose obviously 2 seconds less or whatever it is. And that's how you cleverly space the cars.
Bit of help onto the next straight.
Yeah, exactly. And you get a slipstream onto the next straight. So it's all very, very technical actually.
And time of day driving, what's your favorite?
Nighttime, definitely. Everything
dark night or dusk or dawn?
Well, in Daytona, I jumped straight into the night. Obviously, I started the race, which is quite interesting because I always had the sprint mentality.
It's a big responsibility, hey?
Yeah, 100%. The first guy driving, you always have the responsibility of bringing the car home safely. And obviously, I was given the honor of starting the race, so I always had that pressure on my hands to bring the car in at least after the first stop. To hand it over to the next guy. So it's sort of changing that mentality from a sprint mentality towards a endurance mentality, where you've got to think it's not a 1 hour race, it's a 24-hour race, and you've got to keep the car going, and you've got to keep everything safe. Can't take too much risk.
And that was, I've just first got to say something else, I've got to congratulate you. There are many guys who would have, or who have shoved cars into a wall because they were pushing hard, and have got a list of excuses like that. You manned up, and I've got to say, big up to you. Congratulations. That took huge balls to actually do that, I think. And so
I wasn't given much time to reflect because I had the
but it talks to your
Sports 7
character.
Media cameras in my face as I got out the car. So, I had to
So mom and dad, well done. I mean, you've got some character built in there, freaking awesome. And Gary's, you've got
2 questions.
What happened to your production people here, your assistants?
2 questions. Number 1, do you guys, this comes from a guy called Elliot, and Elliot, 2 of your questions. Do you guys ever race go-karts in off-seasons? Number 1. Number 2, which is your favorite track? And secondly, Etienne has just joined us. So how's it, Uncle Etienne?
Oh, now the pressure's coming. Now we're going to sit up nice and straight.
I wanted to talk about influences in your live. So, go-karts.
Yeah, you take that one. I'll take the other one.
In our off season, to be honest, we don't really have a go-kart. So I've never really, once I've got out of go-karts, I've never really found it as an advantage to drive go-karts in the off season. We've always been testing off season anyway, so we've sort of been driving the whole year through. I think it's more important when you have a big off season where you're not driving at all to be in a go-kart or something fast to keep those reactive sensors going and so on. So I think we never really had that big break that other people do in the season, especially now with Daytona being in January. You don't really have off season.
Yeah, and then favorite track, I mean, there's only got to be one for me. It's Nürburgring Nordschleife, and why I say it is just it's multi-class cars. You have 170 cars in the grid. That you don't have anywhere else in the world. You don't have a Mini Cooper driving with a Audi R8 GT3 car on the same racetrack, for 24 hours long. and it just adds such a challenge to the race. And you know, then you have the weather aspect of it. You've got the most difficult conditions, raining, snow sometimes. One year we've actually had hail.
Have you got a heater in the car?
No, we don't. We've only got aircon, actually.
It's hot enough in the car.
Normally it's hot enough. You don't need to heat it up more. But when it gets really warm outside, we have a nice aircon inside. We connect it to our helmet. And in Australia, we have a thing called a cool suit. So we wear like a vest underneath, and it filters like dry ice. So liquidized, it's got a liquid thing going around your vest, and then it's an ice box, exactly. And that filters through for the whole race. That was quite cool, but we only have that in Australia. I would like to have it in Europe because it's quite a cool working system. Yeah.
So, least favorite track?
Least favorite track?
Yeah, the one you... No,
I'd say Hockenheim, eh? I think you would agree. There's so many long straights and braking and turning. It's quite a boring track. It's not really... I wouldn't say it's a driver's track like something like Sachsenring with fast corners, and it doesn't really challenge you that much, and that's why...
But the stadium in Hockenheim, when you come in there, when it's full of people, that's got to be kind of cool.
It's awesome to see when you come into the Motordrome, they call it. When you come in there and you see all the spectators watching, it's especially on DTM race weekend, like when I was racing TT Cup, we raced on the same weekend as DTM, and normally we'd be just before or just after the DTM race. So all the spectators of DTM would still be there, and it's a massive crowd, eh? Very, very good.
Just talking about DTM and future, and so you got GD3, and it's different names all over the world. What's next? I mean, what's the next run? Formula One, WEC?
Just before you go to that one, Etienne thinks it's time that he got you guys into karts and taught you how to drive.
Whoa!
Actually, last time we were in indoor go-kart, and he actually did the fastest lap time. So I think that's where
He was the quickest.
He was the fastest. He beat
But
all of
doesn't
us.
that belie something about the weight? And because he's not...
Well, definitely not, because
He's not...
Well, I'm the lightest, so I should be the
Exactly,
fastest.
he's not 75 kilo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's got a bit less
With
hair than us.
respect.
He's got a bit less hair than us. So maybe,
got a whole lot
maybe
less
that
hair.
downforce. Got less drag on the straight.
So talking about uncles and fathers and grandfathers, and what's the biggest influence been in your life, or who has been the biggest influence?
They've all had their own unique
Input.
part, you know, like each of them has a different role, I would say. My dad was obviously, you know, he's very close with us. We did karting together. He prepared everything on the karting side with my grandfather. My uncle was that young guy that we could talk to on a similar level, you know, because he'd done it overseas.
That was back when he had hair.
Yeah, a long time ago. No, but anyway, so he travelled with me to a lot of the overseas races, and he knows that place, you know, he's had that experience. So to have a guy like that there is obviously very cool, because you feel like you have a bag of experience that you take with you, even though you've never been to a place before. It's pretty cool.
So when we spoke about trying to talk to you guys, you know, there's so many legends of people who know different members of your family a little bit. And one of them was, how are we going to get you to talk? Because you probably are the most talkative of the generations of the Van der Lindes. Because Henny doesn't talk that much. He just makes cars.
We get
go.
it from the mother.
So it is true that women talk all the time.
It is. We get it from the mother's side. She's the bubbly one, and always entertaining the sponsors, entertaining the people around us. So
That's definitely
it's a positive thing. I think it's a good
Yeah.
thing, and it's helped us overseas, because you know how it is. Sometimes you have to do a bit of talking. You have to sell yourself a bit. So it's important. You need to have the whole package.
And you guys really, you got the package. I'm actually very excited, to sit and we love, as South Africans, we kind of motorsport mad, I think, or certain, and to sit and see people who come through the ranks and they graft hard. And one of the questions graft hard and then make it, and you've kind of got to the stage, the real show. I mean, now the hard work starts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my dad always said it's one thing to arrive, but it's a
You gotta
different
stay
thing to
there.
stay.
Yeah.
And I wrote a blog about it. I think a few people may have read it. And I went through that in my life. I got my factory contract, and my career plateaued for about 2 years, and even maybe went a little bit down in some ways. But I had to pick myself back up. I learned German. I started to develop my technical knowledge, and then I made myself a stronger package. And now I feel like I'm ready to lead, whereas back then I wasn't ready to lead a program. I wasn't ready to lead a car. I was maybe good to do one fast lap or to do a good race. But, you know, like we were talking about, you need the full package. And when you become a factory driver, you have to lead a program. You have to lead a whole bunch of people working in the factory. And that's cool. I mean, now I see it's the same with my brother. You know, he's very fast. He has all the talent in the world. But what's going to bring him to the next level is how well he develops his technical knowledge, how well he develops his German.
But hold on a minute, you're still 21. You're 18.
Still lots of time.
Aren't you
There's
putting
no
a
time.
whole?
There's no time.
Aren't you putting a whole bunch of? We're not allowed to say that word. Okay?
No.
No.
Can't you,
Stuff.
with your production
Beep it
abilities,
out.
beep it out?
But it's live, apparently.
Yeah, but I thought Gary's that good. He could beep it out loud.
But
Okay,
Gary
okay.
and his talk. Okay, so you've got a whole bunch of stuff on your shoulders at 21.
You grow up very quickly when you have to go and live in a foreign country on your own. That was one point for me. And there is no time. You know, the generation is getting, every year it's getting younger. The guys that are coming into the factory positions, it's young guys coming in.
I see McLaren have signed some guy.
Lando Norris,
Yeah.
No, even some kid, he's like 8.
yeah, from karting. They
Do me a
take them.
favour.
I mean, that's how it is these days.
The
Kids
younger
still
the
need
better, I think. I mean, I started
In
go-karting when
certain
I couldn't even see over the steering when I was 6 years old.
You
And
still-
I think,
I
I mean, I've grown a lot taller now, but
remember
Yeah.
seeing you in a VW Golf, a Golf 1, and it was like, you know, there were
always think-
cushions.
Yeah. No,
Because we were like 10.
Yeah. No, you do grow up very quickly, like Kelvin said. Especially when you go overseas, it's a completely different ball game. The guys are very professional. Then you've got to come to the party already. You know, we've chosen this career now, and we've sort of got to put everything into it to really make it happen now. And it's crunch time.
And you live in Germany?
Yes, yeah. We live there full time. We're actually sharing an apartment from this year onwards. Last year he was still living with mommy, you know, he had to have mommy's cooking to wash the clothes. But now this he's got to learn to wash his own clothes, so it should be interesting.
So have you found where the dry cleaner is close by?
There's no dry cleaner. He's got to take his hands and
And so do you guys eat out or do you cook? You cook? Who's the better cook?
I actually enjoy cooking. We've got our cookbook and we read online. You know, nowadays it's so easy, you know, check a YouTube video,
And
whatever.
what do you cook? What's your favorite meal?
Normally
to cook?
we would try and cook healthy, like chicken or something like that.
I'm so tired of eating chicken, I tell you. If I have to see another chicken, all these chickens are walking around here and I've already got that taste. No, but...
So roast chicken, fried chicken, steamed.
like a
Don't tell
roast
me
chicken.
steamed chicken.
No. Like a roast chicken, we still like to eat nicely. We still like to spoil ourselves.
Now and then a bit of KFC. Again, the chicken coming in.
No, but
But where's the cow involved?
it's a bit of both, you know. We try and mix it up, but it's fun. I enjoy it. It's really not a hassle for me. So.
Have you taught the Germans about braaiing and that sort of thing? yet?
We have to. We've got a braai. That's the first thing we got there when I got my new apartment. Was a nice braai,
Yeah.
and we were set up. We got a nice view there. We do our thing and we have a steak and we do all that.
Question from Michael Elliott. He wants to know who's the best driver you've ever driven against, both internationally and in South Africa. And Jackie Morrison says, please keep flying the South African flag as high as possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We're
you.
going to do our best.
Thank you.
So best driver. Who's the?
So both of us think we go. Just
Yeah.
the name, man.
In South Africa, I'd say a legend is someone like Michael Stephen, for sure. I mean, he's got, I think, 7 SA titles already.
Oh.
It's an amazing feat, I think.
And he's got a range of talents in. He's not just quick in one car. He's
100%. He
quick
can,
all
he's
over
got
the
the
place.
ability to
Yeah,
adapt to
yeah.
new situations. I mean, he's the one weekend he's doing go-karts, national go-karts,
Yeah.
and the other weekend he's jumping in a GDC car and he's winning. So he's got a very good ability of adapting, and I think he's made a very good name for himself in South Africa.
And internationally, best guy ever you've driven against?
Well, there's a lot of guys. Like now, especially I'm one of the rookies in a bunch of factory drivers, I'd say, like Kelvin. And I'd say it's hard to compare really, but I would say someone like Christopher Mies has a lot of experience. Kelvin, of course, is very fast, and
He's sucking up, eh? You can.
but yeah, like I said, I haven't really driven with I haven't really done many GT3 races so far. So
Who's your ultimate? I'm gonna get to you. Who's your ultimate hero driver? The guy that you look and say, "Wow."
of all time, Ayrton Senna, definitely.
Why? I was going to say Senna or Prost. I mean, it had to be either.
He's just so motivated. I think he put his whole life into racing, and that's everything he wanted. And ever since I've been young, I've been watching his movies and stuff. I think he had that movie called Senna. That just really inspired me, and I think he's such a good example for young racing drivers to show what it takes to really be the best in the world.
And also leave your home country, go to a place where there's a foreign language, fit in and drive down quick.
100%. It's not easy coming from a foreign country into something that you don't know. It's like an unknown, and that's what he did really well, and I think arguably he's one of the best racing drivers in the world to this day.
So does it have to be somebody we raced against locally, personally, or is it just a local guy that we rate highly?
No, anybody, world over.
So locally, I mean, obviously I have a lot of respect for my family and what they've achieved, and obviously all of them are very, very good racing drivers. But I mean, I think for the fans watching, would probably have to be someone that's still active. I would say Johan Fourie.
Yeah.
I watched him one day in Cape Town on the banking, and as a young kid, I was like, I don't know, 15, 16, I was still doing Polo Cup, and I was watching that, and I remember thinking to myself, wow, this guy's really on it. He's really bringing everything out of the car, and that was cool to see, you know. It's very seldom that nowadays, the way the race cars are built, you don't really see a car working. You don't really see a car when it's on its limit, but that day I really felt like he brought the maximum out of the car, so a lot of respect for him, and I know my uncle as well, he was teammates with him, and he also has a lot of respect for Johan. Overseas, I've raced against a lot of, you know, cool people, fast people. I don't know. There's so many good guys, especially in GT3. There's, you know, with the BOP, you never really know who has the best car. And it's difficult to
Does
compare,
Ford have a fair stab at the BOP, or because they're American? And I mean, they won by 5 laps.
There's a bit of a.
Or is this a touchy subject? Should we? So going back to, let's just leave the BOP. Gary wanted us to talk a lot about it. But, you know,
I think
Gary,
we skipped that one.
I'm going to
It's an
overrule.
endless debate. We can sit here until tomorrow morning.
Okay, no. So, your ultimate hero driver?
I'm not going to say the typical Ayrton Senna or Alain Prost, because that's what everybody says, I feel. Who I really thought stood out in our generation or in the last few years was Colin McRae. Because if you look at the videos, this guy had no fear whatsoever. I really have really big respect for rally drivers in general, just for what they do and how on the edge they are every second of the stage and whatever. But Colin McRae had an unbelievably strong mentality
And total commitment.
Willpower, commitment, and that is something special to see. That is really something that you can admire as a driver, because as a driver, there are times where you really have to hang it on the line. You go out, like for example, the shootout lap I did in Australia. You know, you go out there, you have 1 lap to do it, and if you go in there cautious, you're going to come out last in the shootout. So you've got to say, listen, if there's a bit of a scratch on the car after this, I'm going to have to take it on my chin and accept it, or we're going to have to go for gold. You know, that's the approach you've got to have sometimes.
And that top of the mountain, you know, the Aussie commentators might be a little bit biased, and sometimes they have complete pain in the backside, but that when you go over the top of the mountain, then you come down through those. Is that properly cool?
It's awesome. A lot of people always ask me, how is a track to drive? Because obviously Bathurst is very famous, and I always said it's like driving on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but just a lot more intense, because you're braking late. It's like a Grand Prix track sort of vibe. So you know, there's places like over Skyline, over the top of the mountain, coming down. You're probably holding your breath for at least 10-15 seconds over there, you know. So it's really a crazy feeling, and with the downforce we have in GT3 cars, it's almost flat out over the top there. You're doing 220, 230 over the top, so it's pretty ballsy.
And through the chase, is that flat in
that's
the GT3?
Easy flat 280. We have so much downforce, so it's not really a challenge. It's more the top section where you really have to bring it.
And at the end of going into turn 2, that right-hander with the wall that comes in there, is that a bit of fun?
It's cool. Everywhere you're on the edge of what is possible and what you believe is possible. And there's always a little bit further that you can go in theory, but what the mind believes is possible is obviously a different story. So it's an interesting one.
So I think we've got to be getting close there. Just the Sebring, that's bumpy as all hell, concrete track.
Yeah.
how does that affect the way that you drive the car, or is it just, well, hey, it's bumpy, just
Yeah,
Just
I've actually,
let it hang
a lot
in.
of people have said it's very bumpy. I'm actually going there on Tuesday to go testing in Sebring, so that'll be the first time I run on track. But yeah, obviously the GT3 car is very stiff. It's got a very stiff platform. All the reactions are much like a single seater, I'd say. So we do set the car up obviously for the damping to adjust to the bumps. But yeah, I think it's going to be a different challenge. I mean, it's a bit like a street track actually. If you look at the videos and stuff, it's very bumpy and there's walls on either side. So it's going to be a challenge. I'm really looking forward.
Do you like street tracks compared to some of the flowing tracks?
I do like street tracks, but I've had a bit of a bad track record with them. In TT Cup, I don't know if you can remember, but the one year I had a small crash going into the wall. I was lying second, going for first, and just touched the wall. So I love street tracks because it punishes you. You know, there's no runoff like all these modern Formula 1 tracks that have so much runoff, so much margin for error, and this is what I like about street track. Well, you make one mistake and you get punished.
And what's your favorite corner?
Eau Rouge, definitely. I drove it in the TCR last year, beginning of last year, and it's basically flat in the TCR, and it's the feeling that you get, that your stomach gets just as you drop to the dip. It's amazing. It's a bit like the Nordschleife feeling actually. That feeling you get in your stomach, you know, it's like a butterfly feeling that you can't explain it to someone.
And that's what makes you race cars.
To be on the limit.
That little bit of...
Yeah, exactly.
Gary, I see our executive producers talking to us
Almost
about
40
time.
minutes, eh? We've done well. And you haven't even had a sip of water.
40 minutes. Oh, geez, well, where's the fucking catering? They haven't arrived. So for 40 minutes, I didn't think that I could talk to Van der Lindes for 40 minutes. Knowing
Been interesting.
the
Very
guy.
interesting.
Guys, I tell you what, this has been an absolute blast for me and a privilege. Thank you very much for joining us on DirTiSweat. We hope to see you again sometime. Maybe we can do some remote stuff. And truly, from all race fans in South Africa and all sports fans in South Africa, go there and murala do it.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
lot
very
of
much.
fun and everything of the real
Thank
good
you
luck.
very much.
Everything of the best.
Thanks for having us.
my
It's
man.
been great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you to everybody watching.
Thank you, guys.
Just all your fans, couple of questions we didn't get to. Don't worry. The boys will be online a bit later. They can access the questions and answer them for you. But keep an eye on them this year. And we will be back.
Famous people about to be.
And we will be back with some more DirTiSweat. Watch the Facebook page. We'll let you know when they happen.
Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers. We out of there. Guys are freaking awesome. Thank you so much.
That was
Really.
a lot of fun. It was good. It was casual.
Very cool.